No future and no dreams? I don't think so. That was 2 years ago?
Bom-Sook stands in the hallway. She looks at the closed doors, the empty hallway, and feels a coldness she hasn't felt before.
You?
What?
Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you like that.
No problem. You were just surprised.
Wait. Come with me.
What? That's my room.
Emily pushes Philip onto his bed. She searches for the right words, and Bom-Sook waits. Emily turns around and looks at the photos. She walks towards them. Her gaze remains fixed on Cosmo for a moment. But then she reaches for the picture of her brother with his funny costume and Emily by his side. She walks over to Bom-Sook and sits down next to her. Out of reflex, Bom-Sook backs away from her a little. Startled, Emily looks at her, but realizes she doesn't need an explanation.
Wait. Do you know about us?
Yes.
She looks up from the photo into Philip's face. Her hand strokes the picture frame.
I know him and his pain. And I've seen when he was free from it. It was because of you. Our family couldn't reach him.
What happened anyway? That
He's given up on everything.
What do you mean? Everything.
I was a student at the time. I quit that. It wasn't what I wanted anyway. But all of a sudden I had nothing. Nothing I wanted, nothing that I was passionate about anymore. Except for the pain. Did you... Before that, before the crash, before I only did what was expected of me. I had stopped being who I wanted to be long before. But the moment he was dead, I realized that I am really me, still alive. So why am I not living, but living the life that others want me to live? And then you stopped doing that too?
JR continues to look at Philip calmly. She simply takes in what Philip tells her. She does not evaluate it. She just listens and tries to help Philip find his way through his thoughts.
Yes. Then I slipped into the semblance of a life. I don't know what it's like at your house, but here, when you're Bom-Sook, you seem to have fun. Yes. And this body always reminds me what it's like to live and do what you burn for. You know what? I think it's kind of an answer to a question you must have asked yourself subconsciously back then, right? Yes. Maybe.
Given up? Why?
Reasons. And now, for completely different reasons, he has started moving again.
Yeah. He just said that.
I couldn't help him find his way back at all.
She looks sadly at her empty hands. Emily puts Mr. Otter onto her lap and plays around with him. Bom-Sook watches her as she does so.
You were going to help him get back on his feet?
I wanted us to come together to rediscover the beauty of life. But instead I found myself alone. and while I moved on, he stayed behind. I couldn't do anything for him, and he didn't need me either.
I know the accident was not my fault. In my head, I know that. But in my heart, there is so much pain. And that paralyzes me. How am I the one who lives on while Cosmo was the one with a future and dreams? I have nothing. Thank you, Jehua. Thank you for listening to me.
Sure. Always. Even if you're not Bom-Sook. As long as you take her body, you belong to us. And if we stop the body swap thing, you just have to become a Nore and then you'll be in our hearts forever.
I have to become a Nore? So, as myself, I'm nothing to you guys?
He looks a little hurt. JR realizes that her choice of words was thoughtless and tries to correct herself.
No, I didn't mean it that way. That was...
Ironic, I know. I know you all well enough by now. And I don't think any of you would let someone you hold in your hearts just walk away.
But at some point, life goes on.
And then I will be a memory that you fondly remember.
He looks at JR with a look that is becoming more sad, but also fonder at the same time. And JR, too, beams brightly. She hugs Bom-Sook.
I will always remember you. Just like you will always remember that boy who was meant for your sister.
Philip smiles as he understands that the thoughts of Cosmo hurt so much because they are full of warmth, except for the memory of his death. Before his inner eye, all the fond memories of Cosmo play out.
Emily's shoulders shake. She bites her lips, then turns to Bom-Sook. Her pained expression slowly shifts to one of gratitude.
You know, Bom-Sook, I'm so infinitely grateful. I'm so glad he made it through everything up to this point. You know, my brother didn't have it easy, but he survived it. And I'm infinitely grateful to you. Because you're here and he's there, because you have this influence on him. He is managing to find his way out of just existing and back to actually living.
Shouldn't you maybe let him know?
No, I don't want him to know that I know. If that's okay with you, please don't tell him.
If that's what you think?
He is just starting to open up again. I want him to do it at his own time, every step of the way. I myself will watch from the background and support him whenever he needs it.
Support. For me, he has been such a great support over the past week. He and his family.
Oui?
Yes. For me, growth is very important to be in flux. But Philip had to find his way first, and that was so hard for him. I've learned what it's like when you don't have a goal, and yet he still managed to get up again.
Because you always have your drive.
I didn't know how much of an exception this is. And he didn't have anything driving him on because of how his life went. He was thrown off course by life, and it took time to heal. Nevertheless, he's now back on course.